kiddos, so we're back. We are in today, we're gonna do 2 chapters, but it's because they're really short. 11 is 8 pages, 12 is only 3 pages, so you're only in it for me with like 11 pages, okay? It's not very much, it's actually really short, shorter than some of the other just 1 chapters. All right, so today, our chapter is called A Total Loss. Now, we know what Jessie did last chapter, right? She dumped in the dirt and the worms and all the nasty things into Evan's lemonade. So today, what I want you to focus on is Evan's going to realize it was Jessie, and there's going to be several clues that he thinks about over the next 2 chapters that help him realize it was Jessie, and that's what I'm asking you about. What clues did Evan use to figure out that Jessie was the bad guy, okay? So today we are in chapter 11, page 143. You do have to use details from the text. I would love it to be word for word, so make sure you've got your book and you're reading along with me today. Chapter 11, page 143, A Total Loss. Total loss, noun, goods so damaged that there's no point in repairing them, or they can't be repaired at all. What do you think the total loss is going to be? The lemonade. Jessie put bugs in it. Can you repair that? The first cup, easy sell. The second cup too. It was on the third cup that a little girl, about 6 years old, said, "Ew, there's a bug in my drink." Then her brother said, "There's one in mine too." "Gross," said the older boy on a skateboard. "There are like 3 in mine. I want my money back, man," he said, dumping his lemonade on the ground. The mother of the little boy and little girl looked into their cups carefully. "I think you need to check your lemonade, honey," she said to Evan. Evan unscrewed the cap and everyone looked in. The surface was swimming with dead bugs, fruit flies, worms, and a soggy brown caterpillar. "Oh my goodness," said the mother. The boy started spitting on the ground like he was going to die. The girl started wailing, "Mommy, I drank bugs. I have bugs in my tummy." Evan couldn't believe his eyes. How did this happen? Did they crawl in somehow? They couldn't have. He had screwed the lid on tight. He was sure of it. And anyway, 1 or 2 bugs crawling in, maybe. But 50 dead fruit flies and 2 inchworms and a caterpillar? It just wasn't possible. Evan was burning with embarrassment as everyone looked at him in his buggy lemonade. Frantically, he reached into the cooler and started to scoop out the dead bugs with his hands. Sweetheart," said the mother, "you can't sell that lemonade." "I'll get them all," said Evan. "I'll get every last one." Making sure that's on. Yep, it is. Okay. "No, dear, you really can't. You need to dump it out." Evan looked at her like she was crazy. Dump it out? Dump it out? He'd spent $40 of his hard-earned money on that lemonade and another $1 for the cups. He wasn't going to dump it out. "I'll do it at home." "No, you should do it here, I think. I need to be sure it's all disposed of properly." Evan looked at her. He didn't know her, but he knew her type. Boy, did he know her type. She was the kind of mother who thought she was the mother of the whole world. If you were on a playground and she thought you were playing too rough, she'd tell you. If you were chewing gum in line at the 7-Eleven, she'd say, "I sure hope that's sugarless." Mothers like that never minded their own business, or just their kids' business. They thought they had to take care of every single kid in the kingdom. "It's too heavy for me to dump," he said. "I'll take it home and my mom can help." "I'll help," said the busybody mother of the world. "All we need to do is tip it a little." She grabbed one handle of the big cooler. Evan had no choice but to grab the other handle. Together they tipped all the lemonade, Together they tipped, and the lemonade poured out of the whole top of the cooler. They poured and poured and poured. The lemonade sparkled in the sunlight like a bejeweled waterfall and then disappeared without a trace, soaking into the parched September grass. As the last sluice of lemonade slipped out of the cooler, a slick of mud poured out. "Oh my goodness," said the mother. Evan couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe how quickly his victory had turned to defeat. It was just like the lemonade. It had disappeared into the grass, leaving nothing behind. A total loss. The mother smiled sympathetically as Evan returned her $2. The skateboard dude had already skated off with his refund. There was nothing to do but go home. Evan walked slowly, dragging the wagon with the empty cooler rattling inside. With every step he took, the wagon handle poked him in the rear end. Step, poke, step, poke. He felt like something was nudging him forward. Evan, Mom wants to see you in her office right away. That had been weird. His mom had had no idea what he meant. I didn't call you. I didn't call anyone, she said. I've been on the computer. Evan, Mom wants to see you. He had been coming up the stairs. Jessie had been in the garage. She had looked anxious. Right away, she had said. Evan stopped walking. He stared at the empty cooler and then started to run. The wagon bounced crazily along the uneven sidewalk. Twice it tipped over. What does it matter? Thought Evan angrily. There's no lemonade to spill. By the time he got home, he had it all figured out. He looked in the kitchen trash and found the 3 Ziploc bags, inside out and sticky, with lemonade. He shook the fruit bowl and noticed how few fruit flies took to the air. If he hadn't had the right materials, he would have dusted the cooler for fingerprints. But there was really no need for that. He knew what he would have found. Jessie was all over that one. That rat! That lousy, rotten, stinking rat! Oh, rat of a sister, goodness. He shouted. He went back to the garage and kicked the wagon. He knocked the cooler to the floor. He tore up his lemonade on wheels sign into a dozen pieces. He was going to lose. He had $100. He was sure of it. And he had just 62 left. Tonight, before the fireworks, when they counted their money, she would be the winner and he would be the loser. Winner takes all. Loser gets nothing. It was so unfair. Evan stomped upstairs to his room. He slammed the door so hard it bounced open again. When he went to close it, he was staring across the hallway straight into Jessie's room. He could see her neatly made bed covered in Kosh, it's a name brand, pillows, the poster of Bar Harbor from their trip to Maine this summer, and her night table with Charlotte's Web at the ready. Evan, y'all, something just moved behind me and I don't like it. It's all good. Okay, sorry. There was a rule about not entering. Well, she'd broken the rules first. Even though there wasn't really a rule about fruit flies and lemonade, it was clearly a dirty trick. Evan walked in and went straight to Jessie's desk drawer. There was a fake pack of gum. Inside, the key. Did she really think that he didn't know where she hid it? He'd seen her slip the key inside the box when he was passing by on his way to the bathroom. Jessie was smart, but she wasn't very smooth. He'd known for months where this key was hidden. He just hadn't bothered to use it. Until now. Key to what? What do you think Evan's about to break into? It took him a while to find the lockbox. He checked the bureau drawers first, then under Jessie's bed. But finally, he found it hidden in her closet. Again, not very smooth. Evan carried the key and the lockbox back to his room and sat on the bed. He put the key in the lock and opened the top. Then, the moment of truth. He lifted out the plastic change tray. There were a whole bunch of scraps of paper on the top, and there was a folded index card too. Evan moved these aside and found a $10 bill paperclip to a birthday card. Under that was an envelope labeled pre-war earnings with $4.42 inside. That was the money Jessie had before the lemonade began. She kept it separate, just like she promised. Next to it was a fat envelope labeled lemonade earnings. Evan opened the envelope. Inside, the bills were arranged by ones, fives, and tens. All the bills were facing the same way, so that the eyes of George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and Alexander Hamilton were all looking at Evan as he counted the cash. $208. There it was, the winning wad. Evan thought about how hard he'd worked that week in the blazing sun and the scorching heat. He thought about the cooler full of lemonade pouring into the grass. He thought about handing over his $62.11 to Jessie and how she'd smile and laugh and tell everyone that she'd won the lemonade war. The guys would all shake their heads. What a loser. Megan would turn away. What a stupid jerk. Evan slammed the lid of the lockbox shut. He stuffed the envelope in his shorts pocket. He was not going to let that happen. He wasn't planning to keep the money, not for good, but he wasn't going to let her have it tonight. When it came time to show their earnings, he'd have $62.11 and she'd have nothing. He'd give her the money back tomorrow, or maybe the day after that, but not tonight. He suddenly felt a desperate need to get out of the house as fast as he could. He shoved the lockbox back into Jessie's closet and the key back into the fake package of gum. "Hey, Mom," he shouted, not even waiting for her to answer back. "I'm going to the school to see if there's a game, okay?" All right, so we're going to go ahead and read chapter 12 too, because it's just 3 pages. But remember, your open response is what clues helped Evan figure out that Jessie was the one who did it, right? That Jessie was the one that sabotaged his lemonade. All right, chapter 12, waiting period. Waiting period, noun. A specified delay required by law between taking an action and seeing the results of that action. So I want you to think about when you get your grades. When you guys write me essays, you want to know how you did right then, right there, right? But essays take me a little while to grade because they're really long and there's 40 of you. So when you turn in your essay, there's a waiting period where you have to wait a couple days to see what your grade is, to see how your work paid off, to see the benefits of your actions. This is kind of the same thing, except this is required by law, and while mine's not required by law, it is necessary so that I can read it and give you really good feedback and give you a really good, true representation of your grade. All right, chapter 12, page 152. Jessie wanted to have fun. She really did. But it seemed like the more she tried, the less she had. First, the drive to the beach took 2.5 hours because of traffic. Jessie felt the car lurching forward, stop, forward, stop. "Memo to myself," said Mr. Moriarty, "never go to the beach on the Sunday of Labor Day weekend, especially when there's been a heat wave for more than a week." I have the hiccups, kiddos, I'm sorry. In the back seat, Jessie and Megan played license plate tag and magnetic bingo and 20 questions. But by the end of the car ride, Jessie was cramped and bored. Then the beach parking lot was full, so they had to park a half-mile away and walk. Then the beach was so crowded, they could hardly find a spot for their blanket. Then Megan said the water was too cold and she just wanted to go in up to her ankles. She kept squealing and running backwards every time a gentle ripple of wave came at her. What fun was that? Sure, the water was cold. It was the North Shore. It was supposed to be cold. That's why it felt so good on hot days like this. When Jessie and Evan went to the beach, they would boogie board and body surf and skimboard and throw a screaming scrunch ball back and forth the whole time. They loved to stay in the water until their lips turned blue and they couldn't stop shaking. That's me when I go play in the water. I love playing in the water. Then they'd roast themselves like weenies on their towels until they were hot and sweating again, and then they'd go right back in. Now that was fun at the beach. Megan liked to build sandcastles and collect shells and play sand tennis and read magazines. That's all fine, thought Jessie. But not going in the water? That's crazy. The ride home was itchy and hot. Jessie had sand in all the places where her skin rubbed together, between her toes, behind her ears, and between the cheeks of her bottom. And somehow she'd gotten sunburn on her back, even though Mrs. Moriarty had smeared her all over with thick, goopy sunscreen twice. Jessie didn't even have the patience for 10 questions, let alone 20. But Megan didn't get that Jessie didn't feel like talking. She kept trying to get her to take a quiz in the teen magazine. If Evan had been there, he would have kept quiet, or maybe hummed a little. Jessie liked it when Evan hummed. As they turned onto Damon Road, Megan asked, "Are you feeling sick?" In fact, she was. For the past half hour, Jessie had been imagining walking in the door and facing Evan. She'd been feeling sicker and sicker with every mile that brought her closer to home. It's not sick, right? It's guilt. She feels guilty about what she did because she knows that if she did something unspeakable, right? It was horrible. But the question remains, do you agree with what she did or not, right? She's feeling really bad about it. Do you think she regrets it? Do you think she take it back? So your job is to tell me, do you agree with what Jessie did, yes or no? Think about all the things that led up to Jessie doing that. And I want you to think about her feelings, think about everything Evan had done, and then I want you to decide, do you think it was the right move or not? And then tell me why. All right, kiddos, we only have one more day left of reading, and here's the deal. I know that this is technically labeled as Friday, but I'm gonna go ahead and release the next video. It's chapters 13 and 14, because I want you to go ahead and try to get it done if you can, because we're turning in our laptops really soon and you don't have a lot of time. And when you turn in your laptop, you gotta turn in your book too. So please, please, please don't stop here. If you have time, it's gonna be another 30 minutes. Do the next video, okay? I love you guys, I miss you guys. As always, let me know if you have questions. Bye, guys.